Hello, and a very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us back. Before we move ahead, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners, WeCommission, ValueLeaf, Microsoft, InMobi, AdPub.social, AdmitAd, CollectSend Ads, Grant, Offer18, Amar Ujala, The Indian Express, Celebyte, and Nielsen. Without any further delay, let's begin the panel discussion on telling stories to Gen Z. Here are our esteemed speakers, Mr. Vijayant Dhaka, Senior Vice President, ValueFirst Digital, Ayushman Chiranewala, Head Marketing, Fastrack, Sai Tota, Head Digital Marketing, Ferns and Petals, Kaushik Mukherjee, Co-founder and COO, Sugar Cosmetics, and Rajesh Kumar, Lead Performance Marketing, Jubilant FoodWorks. Over to you, Mr. Dhaka.
Vijayant, you're on mute.
All right. Okay. Despite all that preparation, here we go. Thanks, Ayush. So, good afternoon, everyone. The session after lunch, especially lunch from home, is always a little tricky, but we'll keep it interesting. I hope the topic is interesting enough for everyone on this call today. I welcome all the panelists. And because of the limited time and the topic, which may need some really detailed insights from our guest marketers here on the call, I would straight away move to the questions. Before that, just a quick snapshot of some of the highlights that may be interesting in setting up the tone for the discussion today. Is that Gen Z, when it comes to numbers, there are some of the numbers that I could do my research and come up with. Good thing about a virtual conference is that I have my notes on my laptop. So I'll just share that this category of consumers or users is potentially they spend about $40 billion annual globally. One in every four Gen Z persona, or they say that they learn about new products from social media influencer. I think this number is highly underestimated. This will be much more than that. But of course, from India perspective, our panelists, our guests would definitely want to throw some more light on it. 66% say that a high quality of a product matters to them when making a purchase. They spend roughly about 8 seconds for their attention to a content, which is 4 seconds less than the previous generation. So that's another interesting piece that I could find. Then about 40% Gen Z transactions take place on a mobile device, no surprise there. And then, of course, there are much many more insights that we would love to know more about. So what I would do is, let me start with Ayushman. Seen some of the marketing campaigns that we have launched in the last few years, and especially now for Fastrack. What do you think is definitely what could be the most or toughest challenge that you face in marketing to Gen Z? I mean, there could be an opportunity and a challenge, but what is that one challenge you usually start with, considering your product in your mind?
I think, Vijay, you captured it well when you started about the attention span. So clearly, possibly you have an audience which is a digital native audience, and the first generation, which is digital native, born with the e-com, the internet around them. And clearly, we see that in the kind of attention spans that they have. So with all the media clutter around, with all the brands who are trying to target this customer of tomorrow, you really need to figure out a way to capture their attention between the clutter, right? So I think that's the first thing. To do that well, possibly you need to understand your core customer within the Gen Z audience as sharply as you can to make sure you are pressing the right buttons on that one. So some of the key things that we keep in mind, right, when we cut a campaign is is the core values that we run or we rely on as a brand. Just to name a few, I think authenticity is a very big piece for them, right? I mean, they see through things which are fake. They see through things which are possibly untrue and just a facade that somebody's trying to create. So as a brand, it becomes extremely important for you to be authentic in what you are trying to say, claim, and everything around that, right? And what you believe in. So, I mean, that's like one of the key parameters I would like to say that we keep in mind on putting out stuff that we truly believe in and not just saying it because we feel that our audience would like it, right? So that's kind of a litmus test for us when we try and talk to our audience. The other good part is that Fastrack's core audience is Gen Z, okay, and it has always been, okay. So we really are all about them, and we have actually seen this generation change in front of our eyes, you know. So when millennials were in this age group, who the Gen Zs belong to today, we were trying to target them. And how are they different from the current Gen Zs is something that we have seen as a transition in the last many years as a brand. So
Great, good to hear your point of view, and then we'll move to other panelists. So, Kaushik, what do you think of this? I mean, what would be your challenge in marketing to these guys, and what would be the first challenge that you would pick up and then start from? What could be the starting point for your business? Sorry, unmute. You'll have to unmute.
Yeah, we have to. That's the auspicious sign. Unmute. Now I can go. Vijay, thanks for the opportunity. When the brand was launched, Sugar Cosmetics, it was 2015. Now, if you look at the 1996 as the earliest Gen Z cutoff date, they were still 19 years old, right? So I know we did a lot of things that we thought would be different from the established players in the market. But now looking back, we can connect the dots and say, okay, here's what worked and here's what didn't. And if I have to distill it, I concur with Ayushman that, and what you said, that the attention span is very low. I mean, of course, 8 is the number that we find everywhere. Let's just say it's significantly lesser than the traditional target audience, which means we have to do three things. We have to A, communicate something that is authentic. B, communicate that consistently, which is where we face a lot of challenge because it's a colorful, fast, dynamic, changing industry. And third, do it within that eight-ish time frame, that 8 seconds. So I think industry plays a huge factor in this as well. I can say that we did everything very well, but I mean, let's say it's something which is geared towards fast fashion or a younger TG will take more naturally to Gen Z, whereas something which is more, let's say pizza, for example, right? I mean, pizza, everybody has pizza, right? So I'm guessing I want to know, what worked for them. For us, we were in a very interesting space. There were two brands which targeted the 18 to 24 audience, and their typical price point at that when we had launched, purchase point, average selling price was about say 300 rupees. The market insight which we picked up was that Gen Z was ready to spend more on the product, but the next available product that actually met their bar of, let's say, product quality, because you mentioned 60% of the decision criteria is product quality, right? Was far higher, was about 999 and above. So that gave us a sweet spot to play in. And we took a bet that if we launch something which is maybe 20-30% higher than what the market currently plays at, Gen Z will be willing to spend. And that's what worked for us. We've tried to keep it. One thing we've seen is that Gen Z does not like to be told or sold to. Like, I can't go and say, here's a product, use it, get beautiful. They are not looking for shortcuts or things to make them feel good. They are opinion shapers and opinion leaders. So we just try to harp on what we stand for, and we'll talk about it more as we proceed. And I think that doing that consistently has been what has worked for us. Just to throw a stat out there, about 55% of our orders are from this 18 to 24 age group, so which is pretty much Gen Z, which I think is pretty high compared to a lot of other players in our category. So, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be good to hear from all of you actually on this particular stats. If you can mention, Rajesh, moving to you on the same question, what could be the starting point as a challenge for you, and then how do you deal with it? Sorry, mute,
Mute.
Rajesh. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So what I feel is this audience is very fast moving audience, right? So they want something new. They always look for something new, right? So every brand, if they if they can be loyal to a brand only if you are maybe you are serving to them whatever that they need, right? So if you're and especially as a marketer, right, and for the targeting this Gen Z audience is very very kind of also very difficult to get them back, right? They'll their reaction to the marketing communication, their the way you have to engage with the audience is very different, especially in this core TG, which is the 18 to 24, like as a pizza brand, are the we kind of get about like more than like 30 to 40% business from this audience core segment, right? This young audience, that's the core TG for pizza category for us, especially for Domino's, right? And I feel that targeting with the communication and the approach and the time when we reach out to that audience, right, is very important for them, and that's what triggers the the purchase or the order behavior from Gen Z. And again, as I mentioned, they always look for something new. So like whenever we have seen that we are launching some new products like new pizza category, be it World Pizza, which was launched last year during IPL, right, or Masala Pizza, which we launched in the month of like February, March, right? Whenever we have seen the new product launches, we have seen that these audiences have given a very good response. So that's what we feel that they really look for something new, something innovative from the brands.
Okay. So then coming to Sai, what would be your take on this from your business point of view? How different would it be from a brand like Domino's or Sugar or Fastrack, or you think you are also in the same pattern?
So thank you, Vijayant. So basically, if I talk about Ferns and Petals, or for that matter, even if I actually take a step back and actually talk about Gen Z, probably I'm not very sure why it was named Gen Z. Probably I would like to call it Gen P. Probably why? Because this audience are more telling is part and parcel of the marketing, and this is what each and every brand has been doing for years. Okay, so but then the point when it comes to this Gen Z, they actually go a little further and ask, when this story is being told, are they really authentic? I think this point is already covered by probably Ayush. He was saying that how authentic is the brand. I think this generation asks this question: how authentic is this brand when it is saying this? For example, let's say it's easy for us to do a storytelling or for that matter a post on Insta saying that it is no pollution or no pollution on a day like no pollution day, but at the end of it, are you really practicing that? For example, if at all you're still using this plastic and or whatever, I think so that is something that probably they actually look at and judge you as a brand. That's what I would like to say. Again, I think I'm also taking this point that Ayush was also talking about. Yes, their attention span is very less, but then they grab it very fast, and then they know very clear that what they want, and they're very clear about what they want and what are their priorities. So they don't just get carried away by your storytelling. For example, if they want a specific product, they do enough of research before they make the decision. But the point is, but the point is, at the end of that research, they know very clearly that this is what is the kind of product that I'm going for, and this is the brand I'm going for because of this is the reasons. So they are very crystal clear, and that is the reason. That is the reason. Probably they're also looking for, like probably if I have to quote Rajesh, he was also talking about they're looking for something new. Rather something new, I would probably put it as probably they want to get something what they actually are looking for. probably you might have to even tailor something that actually they are looking for. That is the reason probably lately for us, for example, personalized gifts is actually doing very well, because they know whether on this gift, this is the kind of personalization that I want to be able to make an impact. Probably this is where I can talk and talk my heart out. Probably there are some things. That's the reason probably the brands has to be ready to be able to tailor to be able to suit the needs of this customer. Probably they're very high demanding probably. So yes, it is easy. It is easy to be able to target this customer on the internet, because these are born into the internet more than so that's the reason they're very much internet savvy. But the point is how the can you actually tailor your product to their need is something that actually plays a key role, or for that matter, that could be a challenge for any brand in the when it comes to Gen Z.
Yeah. Remember Kaushik mentioned that they can't be sold a product. I mean, so basically you cannot force them to buy something.
Right. I think he was also, I think for that matter, I think he was also pointing about price. I think the point is for this customer, it is not the price, it's that quality, is that authenticity, or it is what they want. I think that's more important for them.
So basically you, as a brand, as a marketer, you are entering the space where you're actually letting them design the product, the pricing, the maybe the creative, because they get themselves involved, use of influencers and social media and digital medium, new technology. So then that would lead me to next question, which is that at what point of or at what stage you decide to interact with them. It could be a new product launch, it could be an ideation stage, it could be new pricing or a new market or a new category that you are entering. It could be a new launch pad. I mean, you haven't gone online yet, or of course that doesn't sound nice, but yeah, there are still some brands who are laggards or are just following. So what is that stage, and what is that one insight about Gen Z that helps you decide that okay, let's do it, and we can go back to Ayush and then move to Kaushik in that order.
Sure. So, Vijayant, in my mind, I would say that I think you are always communicating to them, right? So I don't think that it is in my head an always on communication. Now, what of the following things, like you mentioned, is it a new launch? Is it something that's part of pop culture? Is it something that's trending today? What aspect of communication you bring in is a function of whichever industry you belong to. But it's ought to be an always on communication, primarily because I would believe that when you're creating a brand, you're not trying to put up an act, right? So you are trying to tell the people, tell this audience that who you really are, and who you really are is how you always are, right? I mean, as a brand, also how you always behave, right? So of course, digital is one of the key mediums that they consume, and hence it also allows you to be always on, and hence that's the trick, right? So as Fastrack, of course, we've been one of the most popular youth brands in the country. One of the largest accessories player targeting the youth, right? And we thankfully have great presence on digital social handles as well. One of the largest possible presence in our categories. So there's great amount of interaction that happens, right? And I say this first time because I am quite in sync with the kind of conversations that we see. So we don't really outsource the conversations that happen on our platform. We actually anchor it ourselves, right? So one is the range of conversations that you see across posts, which happen, say, on Instagram, with people are putting it on a wall. But there is the entire conversation which is happening on DM. So there are a lot of conversation that's happening on DM, which is a one-on-one message. So a customer alone is writing to me, telling me that what he or she is looking at, what he or she wants, what he liked, what he disliked, and that's where I think the importance of the fact that you are being true to that n=1 concept about talking to him personally and not saying this is how I am as a company and this is what I believe in, just like that, right? So you understand who that person is and you interact with that person not just through the lens of policies, but through the lens of who you really are, understanding, like it's like a conversation, it's like a conversational friend, if I can say so. Very difficult to do when you gain scale. It's not easy at all, right? I mean, the kind of scale at which we work. But I think that's the need of the art. The more personalized you can get, I think Sai also mentioned that the more personalized that you can get is how you actually stamp on that authenticity that you're bringing in as a player. So maybe a good medium to do that would be all your social handles, and how directly the brands can really anchor it versus leaving it to people who are possibly following a template. So I think that's one trick I would suggest people can use to be true. I think the trick there would actually lie in when you gain scale, and how do you still continue to do that. But yeah, I think we have been able to do it quite successfully, and we are seeing that in the kind of conversations we have, the kind of say the love that we see for the brand on our handles and from our customers on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll just cue and post that. Ayushman, I loved what you said about DMs. It is so true. We have this internal joke which says that we say that customers want to be friends first. Let's be friends before customers. So no matter where you target them, the conversation will be on DMs, And the point is, DM has this unstated need for instant communication. So our team is always under stress that, okay, 3 hours have gone, we have not responded to this DM, customers pinged again. So it's an impatient target audience we're dealing with. But I wanted to um, share something from the perspective of a smaller and a newer brand. So typically, when we talk about authentic communication, and I think there are two parts to it. Right? One is the content, and second is the promotion and where you promote the content. Now, earlier, what were the options the brand had? I mean, you would get a A-list agency, maybe a celebrity, spend maybe 1.5 crores or 2 crores on a campaign, used 15 to 20 crores to push it on television. Now the ratio of content production to promotion is typically that 1:8, 1:10. But you see something, the entry bar used to be so high. I mean, unless I can budget that much, I mean, I can't even communicate and reach out to the audiences. Now with the attention span moving to smaller screens, and we're just trying to solve for awareness first, right? It has become that so easy that you can create a content for, I don't know, 10, 20 lakhs and maybe use the same ratio, but the whole campaign now can happen under maybe a crore and a half, which means there are 50 other brands apart from the established very large brands who are also telling stories. So this sort of has put a healthy pressure on the ecosystem. Now brands are getting pushed to be more real. There is Glow and Lovely, for example, because there is a bit of wokeness and communication that's being stoked by a lot of new age brands. So authenticity is, whether we like it or not, is coming into the main fray. And I think we've so far been at the beneficiary end of it, because I'm pretty sure if mobile screens weren't there and the ability to execute a full end-to-end campaign under a crore was there, I don't think we would have been able to tell our story as much as we've been able to. So, and I don't see this going back. I see this going forward. In fact, larger brands have all now jumped onto the small screen bandwagon, and everybody over here. So that's fantastic to see, I think.
Thanks, Kaushik. Rajesh?
Yes, so I think as all of us, like rightly mentioned, right? It's very important how we engage with the audience and where do we engage, right? So the communication with this Gen Z is very important, right? So again, the kind of medium that we have right now, either it is Facebook or Google or other mediums, right? We are using for marketing, right? See, it's always important, for the way the kind of communication that we are giving to the consumers and the what time that we are reaching out to them, right? We have again, and before we reach out to them, we really have to understand how, their behavior, what they do, what do they like, what do they expect from the brand, right? So, and basis on that, you have to kind of personalize the communication, and then you reach out to that audience, and then and that's how you get the good response from the brands, right? Especially for Gen Z, we have seen this segment is very vocal, right? So they always they always complain if they don't like something from you, right? So the brands have to be very kind of you have to learn, you have to hear from the consumers, and you have to act upon them very very fast, right? If you are late to that, again, then you will end up kind of losing those customers. So one of the example I would quote, like I think it's been like 4 or 5 years ago, right? So Domino's, we had a lot of complaints around the Dove, right? So people were complaining, right? So we were getting a lot of complaints on social media and everywhere, right? So we kind of, and then we thought of fixing those. Obviously, it was a very large campaign. We did a lot of investment as well to fix that, that again, and we talked about it in the market with a short film, a 1 minute film, and we heard and we fixed, so that's how like major communication that it was around the media, right? And this campaign did really well, and we really saw very good, responses from the customers, and very good actually, the use customers we have lost, right? We saw them coming back to the brands, right? So that's why we feel it's very important to kind of hear them and act upon them very fast.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure this is very exciting opportunity to target Gen Z for every business, but also extremely challenging as well because of the scale and the speed and the multiple number of platforms involved here. I can only imagine what you guys must go through when there is a situation like that. Yeah, Sai, what do you think about this? You would want to add?
Here, specifically, Vijayant, I think because the question was also more about, yeah, of course, these intimate discussions, and of course, like the way that Kaushik was also talking about this customer, I think you have to treat him as a friend, probably. Uh, but again, if we actually move back to the customer, how and when do you want to target? Probably the timing has to be, I believe that at least you have to be on top of his mind or her mind. Okay, you have to be aware of, and then be able to tell those stories to be able to at least get yourself to the consideration phase. Okay, because I'm sure that probably this customer is not much into impulse buying, of course, and because it is certainly going to be he's actually driven by this need, and especially the kind of product that he wants. So I think beat up upon his or slash her head, and that's all. I think be authentic. I think whenever there is a need, I think they should think about you. I think you should be at that level.
Yeah. So then, what would you think, moving on from that stage to next would be buying decision? In that mode, what do you think? How do they make these buying decisions? And also, adding to your point, do you think they are just influencers? Though we know that definitely they have a buying capacity, but to what extent? And are they more like influencers amongst family or friends, or do they really buy themselves? Are they impulsive buyers, or like how do you define your strategy, and what is your outlook about Gen Z on these two things? Ayushman, you want to take that up, and then we can move to other.
Yeah, sure. So, I think it's an interesting point about, and I think it will be different for each category. The fact that are they really influencers or are they part of the buying decision? I think it's a function of the ticket size, right? And that's true for most of the buying decisions. I would believe for people across age groups, right? Unless you are the single breadwinner of that family. Notwithstanding that, I think for our categories per se, I wouldn't say that they are influencers. I would say they really have their own buying decision within the budgets that they would possibly be playing with. That's what I would say for the category, which is say watches, bags, accessories, sunglasses, and so on and so forth. Each of our customers would have a budget based on the occasion or the purpose why they're buying. A lot of it is bought for gifting, so on and so forth. So I really don't feel that they are just influencers to the buying decision. I think they are the purchasers themselves. Secondly, I mean, and I think that's my answer. So I was not sure what was the second part of the question, Vijay. If you can possibly elaborate on that a bit, maybe I can add. Or I see you're not there. I'm not sure if you've got disconnected, so maybe Kaushik can take this up.
Sure. I wanted to add a note on the influencer bit because it's a huge part of our marketing plan. Our category actually is one where there's a fair bit of education that's involved, because a lot of our audiences are interested, but they're not necessarily aware on what shade suits best or what found how to use the foundation. So it's interesting to see even influencers and what we think as influencers. I don't know if you'll agree with me, has changed over the last 5 years, and I'll tell you the way I'm seeing it. There was a time when influencers there was a need for influencers because they were relatable. Gen Z needs communication from somebody that's relatable, not a celebrity on a screen necessarily who can just say, here's a product, use it. Is at least in our category. That's why there was this rise of influencers maybe about 3 to 4 years back in our category. Nika, I think, has done a phenomenal job of promoting influencers and building a lot of brands, personal brands for them. Now, last 12 months, we are seeing something else happening. What we are seeing is that these influencers of 2017, 2018, they have now become so big that they are literally celebrities themselves. So again, there is a bit of a disconnect because some of it is not fully relatable, or as much as somebody with say maybe a sub 100K followership, so maybe 10 to 20K. So there are like big influencers and there are like smaller influencers. Gen Z, at least our audience base, seems to be gravitating a lot towards the sub 100K, more authentic, because we've also learned that over a period of time, as influencers scale to millions of followers, they need not necessarily be able to create the most relevant content, but their audience base become media for you. So we will still continue to work with them for their media base. But for content, imagine a person who's got say 9,000 followers. Now she's putting her life's hardest effort in trying to create great content, and sometimes the content we get from that is so rich that we promote it on our own platform and we promote them. So it's like a treadmill. We work with those who are at 5, 6K over a period of 18 months, see them scale up to 100K, and then suddenly they fall out of the grid again. But I think it's key. Gen Z is, they like authentic communication. Influencers, for our category at least, have been pretty core to authentic communication.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to what you just said, Kaushik. What I'm seeing increasingly, and which I'm actually quite delighted about, is that a lot of um, and this is more to do with the influencer industry versus say us having to come through this. But I have seen a lot of influencers saying no to opportunities, because they don't believe in it. And I think that is the greatest litmus test of why this will continue to influence your end customer. Okay, because you are just not going after the visibility that you get on, say, a brand channel, or you're not just going after the money that the brand's willing to pay you, and actually going into what you truly believe in, truly believe in, and then take that decision of, am I going to endorse this brand to my audience, no matter how small or large that is. And I must say this, that I have actually come across instances across different industries as well, which has been happening with influencers, both big and small. So people who have over 500,000 followers have also, I have seen them refuse, and this I'm talking about very recently, I mean in the last 2, 3 months. So it's not, because we all know that post-COVID, the amount of money that the brands are putting in have come down across most categories, and hence the amount of influencer investments that also brands are making has come down. But still, and I'm delighted to hear that, because if it is not connecting you on the value front, you might as well not do it. And that's where I think the core belief of the Gen Z is also coming, because most of the influencers are, of course, very young and really belong to this EG themselves. So that's like a very heartening thing as a marketer to see.
It is. True, very true, very true. It's like they're like celebrities now. They're also rejecting brands and choosing brands, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to add, what all of you just mentioned, right? So what we feel is this Gen Z audience, it's a mixture of different set of behaviors that they have, right? There are certain segment, there will be certain customers or who are impulse buyers also, and there are certain segment who is actually influencers also, right? We have seen there are consumers, like I would not call them influencers, they are actually consumers who have certain follower base on social media platforms, right? So they kind of they post certain moments with the pizza family, different occasions that they celebrate with the pizzas category, with the pizzas, right? So we see those kind of coming out from different consumers. Those are, I would say, those are the influencers for the brands, right? Because a particular influencer who is actually talking about a brand, obviously people don't go by that, right? Personally, I feel that, right now, at least in Gen Z, they don't buy that, right? So, but yes, this is something getting promoted by their friends, right, in the circle on a social media platform. This is something that they get influenced, right? They actually they feel that is authentic, and they trust that. So that is I would say is one of the segment. But yes, we have seen there are segments who are actually very impulse buyer, right? We have seen that this 18 to 24 group, there is a huge amount of there is a great good segment of customers who are actually their buying pattern is like very high, so they kind of end up ordering like 20 pizzas in a year or even more than that, right? And there, but yes, there are certain, but again, it also depends on how they're interacting with the brand, right? So we have, let's suppose, different sales channels. If the users is coming through digital channels, or somebody coming through a offline channel like dining or a phone call, right? So their behavior is entirely different. Somebody coming through digital will there is a probability that they stick with the brand, so they kind of they become an impulse buyer later on. But somebody coming from an offline channel, we see them, there are yeah, percentage of becoming an impulse buyer is certainly is low. So yes, there are different behaviors, I think, and so it's a mixed set of audiences, and we have to kind of understand which audience reacting to what, and basis on that we have to kind of customize and personalize the communication.
Vijay, when it comes to this question, for example, if whether they are influencers or buyers, again, I think in our context, this actually depends on the context, or for that matter, the occasion for which they are gifting. For example, let's say this is Valentine's Day, and because we are talking about Gen Z, who are more or less marriage ready, or probably just getting married, or probably married for a year or two, right? So in this case, I mean, clearly these guys can be direct buyers, because when it comes to your personal occasion, like let's say sending a gift on Valentine's Day, or for that matter anniversary, to his wife or husband, or kind of. And at the same time, when it comes to such occasions like probably Rakhi or probably Diwali, sometimes they influence the family members. For example, when it comes to Diwali, so the family decides that these are the 4 people or 10 people that I have to send gifts for. Okay, that's where these people come into picture, and they actually influence the decision making. Until now is one picture, and then especially this Diwali is probably going to be lot different. Probably people are not going to share gifts across. I mean, people are not probably going to go visit each other's home, right? So this is where probably this group, especially probably if not married couples, at least this 18 to 22 or 23, who are there in this family, I think they certainly are going to influence their the gifting needs of the family, and not personal. So they play both the roles, certainly.
Get it. Thanks for that. Considering the remaining time that we have for this panel, just wanted to cover everything. So quickly, we know Gen Z can be a very creative tribe. They've used platforms like TikTok, Instagram, videos, YouTube, everything very creatively. And I'm sure this has definitely helped brands connect with their audience much better. We all know that. No hidden secret there. So what do you think about using TikTok as a platform? Quick, and then what is the next? What is the current? I mean, is it Insta? Is it YouTube? Or is it anything else that you are waiting for? So has anything replaced TikTok for you?
Yeah, so actually, to be very frank, I would love to hear from maybe others as well, but I'm not sure if TikTok was a great place for brands to be. I think TikTok was a great place for content, maybe fun content, which was being generated on behalf of Fastrack. So we were not really active on TikTok, right? But of course, we know that a large chunk, and possibly one of the largest in India as well, was really engaging and creating content and having fun on TikTok. But yeah, so I mean, objectively answer your question, losing TikTok doesn't possibly mean much to us, because It is not like it was my go-to platform for something. I think the go-to platform for the brand today is Instagram, right? And all the thinking that we do around all the strategizing on social per se possibly revolves around Instagram. Having said that, we have close to 8.99 million followers on Facebook. We have 120K followers on Twitter. I mean, of course, there are all the other platforms as well, but Instagram is something that we focus on. I think that's a platform for the future or the platform for today. To answer your question on the platform for the future, I think communication and that you can take a leap from Instagram and the kind of conversation that happens on them as well. The leap, possibly it is not the typical social media that we speak of. I think it's going to be more of a one-on-one conversation, and I think WhatsApp is going to be a key mover there. So WhatsApp, my business accounts have started flowing in. So that's going to be one piece of, and especially maybe this is more true for the mid funnel and the lower funnel. Okay, not so much for the top funnel. I mean, it's not really for awareness as much as it is for middle and lower funnel conversions. But I really feel that that's where the next big shift is going to happen when it comes to conversations and possibly meaningful conversations unfolding. That would be my bet.
Probably, if I have to comment there, Vijay, Insta, of course, probably is the next one, if at all we're talking about, because TikTok is not there. Or probably, I also heard that YouTube is also coming up with something like TikTok. I still don't have more details about that. Keeping that aside, is TikTok, again, actually taking Ayushman's point that whether brands have to be there or not, honestly, we are also not much into TikTok by the time actually it got banned. But what we have seen is there are these Gen Z who were actually making videos, or rather, probably you can also call it as flaunting the gift that they have got. They're actually sharing. Basically, there is this user-generated content that's getting created on the platform, because of which you are already getting some or the other mileage. Okay, so that is something that we have seen. People have been sharing their unboxing, this, that, and kind of gifts, kind of videos is something that we have seen, and that certainly had some impact. Yeah, probably we lost that, but going forward, probably that might happen. Probably more on Insta. That's what I can say now.
Okay, I have a slightly different viewpoint on this. I don't think losing TikTok is a showstopper at all. But see, the biggest difference is that Instagram is primarily static content. It's images, photographs, fantastic photographs, visual content. TikTok was, of course, short videos, right? Now, for a category like ours, the amount you can do with video in those 3 seconds, 5 seconds is a lot more than you can do with what we've been doing for the last 2-3 years, anyways. So yes, Instagram is still Instagram is our bread and butter. I mean, that's where we get conversions from, awareness from. We are closing in on about 800,000 followers. So it's great. But we always look out for the next big thing. And for the last 12 months, we had really spent time in understanding TikTok and realized that the video gives us that ability to showcase quickly what all you can do with a product, whether it be a fast track. Okay, I don't know why I'm using that word brand, but fast tracking makeup video, but something. So it gave us a lot of scope to create and connect with them. And I agree in this whole framework of the framework of awareness, interest, decision, action. I think decision action did not happen on TikTok for us at all, but awareness happened for us. The TikTok audience is someone that we had not been able to reach out on Instagram. I don't know, maybe it's us, but we couldn't reach out to them on TikTok, on Instagram. So awareness wise, we were definitely gaining new eyeballs and impressions on TikTok. But Gen Z always finds a way. So it's not a showstopper. If not TikTok, there's going to be Mitro or ShareChat or Trailrope or something. And we have to figure out, as brands, whether it makes sense. One thing I think all brands feel that is it safe for the brand to be on a particular platform. We also struggled a lot with that, and then we tested waters by first seeding influencers, then having some of our colleagues and employees do it through their own channel. Then we got the confidence to do it as a brand. But it's tricky because things can spiral out of control in some platforms like TikTok.
All right. Before we wrap up, I think about time. Rajesh, you want to?
Yeah, I'll just add to few things. Just again, Ajay, all of us mentioned, right? Even for us as well, we have seen TikTok first of all, we were kind of we were kind of not present on TikTok for a long time, right? But we kind of we tried a couple of things on TikTok, but we did not see that again same people users who are there, right? They are obviously consuming a lot of content, they're making content, but when it comes to behavior in terms of purchasing or the kind of TG that we look for, yes, we did not find that kind of TG and the kind of same responses. So again, and that's one, and the second